Hello Tenno, welcome to another video. My name is BagHead and today I'm going to talk about the nidus buff. Quite a late video, sorry about that. I'm just thinking about the other video ideas I'm going to do on today, so it was some scheduling problem. So in the recent dev stream 195 if I remember correctly, they revealed that nidus is getting an ability retouch. This isn't particularly a rework or overhaul or etc. This is basically an ability retouch similar to what Ash got, what Nova got, what basically Vauban got as well, but Nidus's case is a little bit smaller than Vauban's. So he basically gained quality of life and streamlining to his abilities that will make it better and easier for other players to enjoy him in solo and public lobby gameplay. So, let's get started. First of all, I want to open the ability screen for Nidus. And let's start with his passive. I'm pretty sure his passive is not changing. His passive is still like when you die, your 15 stacks of you get removed, so you get revived immediately, and you get an invincibility for 5 seconds, and your HP restores is like your HP gets restored back to 50%. And Nidus has unique stats to himself. Those are being he has a health regen passive, and this is one of the stats that is actually getting buffed. I think his HP is also getting buffed because I will open the buff screen right now and let's see. Alright, so basically his passive, his base HP and base HP regen rate is getting increased. Uh, there were some numbers given saying like his health regen is going to be like 200 HP, but it seems like these are not final, so these are subject to change. But what I understand from this, his passive stats being health and health regen is getting an increase, which is pretty good. Nidus is a Warframe that gains stacks by using his first ability, Virulence, where he steps the ground and shoots out infestation, and the stacks were before this buff is 100 and it's 100 right now, and after the buff it will be increased to 200. And this buff also applies to his augment. His augment let Nidus get 300 stacks in total, but now that since he already gets like 200 of it, his additional max stacks uh, increased to like 400, I believe, or like 500 from this, what I understand from this, because it says additional max stacks to 300. So because of the wording of this, I kind of don't understand. Like, he's either gonna keep getting 300 stacks maximum with the augment, or he's gonna be able to get 500 stacks. It might be the former because 500 stacks sounds insane, and it's probably gonna take a really long time, even though he's getting buffs to his stacking. Well, either way, so far, really incredible buffs. Also, here's the augment that I was talking about. I'm gonna find it real quick. Here, Abundant Mutation. Passive augment. Nidus gains an additional 200 max stacks of mutation, which will basically let you reach up to 300 stacks. So now, if that's getting increased to 300 stacks, and his stack count is increasing to 200, doesn't that mean he's just gonna get like 500 stacks now? But to be honest, there's a catch with this augment, that being when your immortality is triggered, you will now have a 15 seconds cooldown before you use it again. So like 500 stacks sounds pretty neat, and this stacks also increases the ability damage of your first ability Virulence as well, which is also neat. But um, reaching 500 stacks might take a bit too long, but I will get to that. And to be honest, a 15-second cooldown for immortality can has its ups and downs. Because always having an immortality at your back pocket is nice, but sometimes it can be triggered in unnecessary situations. However, if you're playing a mission that you need to survive all the time, having a cooldown for 15 seconds might be a downgrade. But I digress. So let's go get on with the Virulence now. So Virulence is basically your bread and butter. Like this is your first ability that does a lot of stuff for you. First of all, this is how you gain stacks. Nidus stomps the ground, he shoots out an infested line, and this grants you stacks when you hit the enemy. The damage of this ability can scale with strength, and it can scale with the amount of stacks you get. Since your stacks are getting increased to 200 by default, I can already expect the damage buff will also be real nice. And the problem with this is sometimes it can be inconsistent. You might sometimes have to be really close to the enemy. Even if you group them up with Larva, sometimes it can make you take a while to gain stacks because only the like you just like trusting the initial hit to stack. So you have to recast. Like it can be a drag sometimes. And other than that, there's not much problems with Virulence as it's probably one of the like the not that much problem having ability he has, similar to Larva. So let's see the buffs that he's getting to it. Alright, Virulence. Lingering spikes continue dealing smaller damage for a short duration, and it adds stacks. Improved Virulence patting down gaps, and the augment, which gives you a critical chance bonus, they increase the value of that. Sounds nice. I don't use the augment, so I'm not gonna have much to say about that. However, lingering spikes when he steps to ground, the lingering spikes dealing smaller damage and adding stacks is actually really good. Because one of the Nidus's biggest problem is when you're in a public lobby, stacking can take a while, you might have to separate from your team, so it can be inconvenient. However, this way gaining more stacks easier and faster is pretty cool, in my opinion. And improved Virulence patting down gaps. I don't know the certain interactions with this because I usually use Virulence against the wall when the enemies are grouped there because it lets you cast it way faster. And Virulence also doesn't get affected by ability cast speed, shards or mods like Natural Talent or Yellow Archon shards. So usually I never use it down a gap because it goes all the way. So, the Virulence buff are good. I like the lingering spikes dealing damage. I wonder if that stacks with your Virulence stacks. Like, I wonder if the damage will increase with your stacks, because that will be also interesting to see. But we shall see when the update happens, right? So now we start talking about Larva next. Larva is a pretty simple ability. You just shoot out a larva, it seeks out enemies, and like it just like gathers them. I think it's slightly better version of Korra's Tether, but to be honest, Korra's Tether is also really good against acolytes. So it's like a different version of it. However, as you can see, there's a problem with it. When I capture enemies, I can't recast it immediately. It says ability in use. And this can be problematic. Like, what if you screw up the larva and you pull like one person? Now we have to wait for the duration to end, or someone has to nuke the enemies out of existence, or you restart. And this can be kind of annoying at times because this is one of the two main abilities you need to stack fast, unless you're using the augment for your fourth ability. So, Larva is simple. Let's quickly talk about the buff it's getting. Larva can now be recast. And it deletes the prior like if you had a larva when you recast it, it deletes that, then creates a new larva. Incredible. I'm so happy about it. Now you can undo your mistakes way faster, and that's pretty cool. Mutation stack chances scales with power strength. It has a mutation stack chance attached to it, but this wasn't changeable. But now mutation stack chance scales with power strength. That's good. You usually go high strength with nidus because stacks increase the one damage, so more damage the better. This can open up ways to higher strength builds with him because even though you build strength, you don't build like all strength because you're more of a tank. You don't focus that much on nuking with Nidus, so strength is usually at the second plan. However, this can open a gateway to different builds with strength, see how much stacks you can gain as fast as possible. So this being another way to gain stacks faster, pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. Both Virulence and Larva changes I read so far are great. It just lets Nidus gain stacks faster, so he doesn't feel like he's dragging the team down, or it doesn't feel really slow to get strong. It also has an augment, buff to lava burst toxin stacks per enemy. I didn't use this augment as well, so not much of I can comment, but bursting toxin stack per enemy sounds pretty great. It probably had some, it must be really weak considering it's probably not doing this. So Larva nuke builds, I guess. Toxin can be fun to play around with. It has health scaling, if I remember correctly. It scales with enemy level, so go crazy with it. Now we go to the Parasitic Link. Parasitic Link is probably the ability that I have the most problem with nidus. Basically, what it does is you use, I believe, two stacks or like a one stack to attach to an enemy or to an ally. When you attach to an ally, you get like ability strength, and it has an augment where you get HP. However, when you attach to an enemy, you get 90% damage reduction. However, the problem is the enemy range is really small. The moment you get out of that range, it just like it pops instantly, so your damage reduction goes away instantly as well. You can't recast it onto another enemy. When you recast it, it just closes the connection, like it cancels the connection, so you have to find a new target. So basically, you have to press the ability twice to go to a new target, so that can be really annoying. You cannot connect to your companions such as your dogs and hounds, and the enemy connection range is really short. So, what is the changes to the parasitic links that makes it way better now? After the update, parasitic link will now have a grace period before it snaps. Basically, when you're at the max range before it's about to snap, it will let you know so you can get back into the range and still keep your connection. That's pretty cool. Improved targeting, that means like I'm assuming when you prick a new enemy, it will instantly connect to it. It will not make you wait. It will not try to confirm an enemy. It will not have registering problems. So I'm assuming, so that's a pretty good change. Free moving companions and specters can now be linked. I'm assuming by free moving companions that means your hounds, your kubros, your cavats, your Slyvulpaphyla, your predicides, like something that isn't a sentinel will be able to be connected into. And that means I'm assuming you will be able to get the ability strength bonus from that and not the damage reduction one. So just be careful when you connect into an allied companion because you might get nuked by an enemy that is high level. Recasting now switches target instead of ending the ability. That is an incredible change. Because, like I said, when you recast the ability, it cancels the ability. So now you have to find a new enemy, you have to wait a bit. Now that's going to be gone. It's immediately going to connect to another target, which is pretty good. I really like that. Um, hold to now it's a hold to cancel ability. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I will do every hold to cancel the ability because just switching targets is way convenient unless I accidentally swap to a companion. So I want to undo that. I just hold and connect to an enemy. Removed stack cost. Oh, now that's interesting. So if they remove the stack cost, does that mean it's going to have a energy cost, or will it be just free? If this ability becomes a free ability that doesn't have any energy cost or stack cost, that would be funny because this ability would use one stack or two stack, and I don't think this was that much of an inconvenience to me. But it's interesting they removed the stack cost. I'm assuming that this might become an energy cost thing, so we shall see. Last of all, we will talk about Ravenous, Nidus's fourth ability. Nidus uses three stacks to cover a certain area with basically the Deimos terrain. He spawns maggots. This also has an augment where it lets you get extra stack chance, and the stack chance can be increased by strength. The problem is this ability doesn't scale with range. So what you see is what you get. You cannot increase it. You can cover the entire map with it. So it basically forces you to become a little bit stationary. And this was one of the primary problems I had with Nidus because he's a fun and interesting health tank Warframe to play. But the fact that how stationary he was is quite annoying at times. And to be honest, from the changes I read so far, they're trying to stop that stationary situations to be happening. So let's read this Ravenous changes to see if they fix something about the stationary feeling of Nidus. Ravenous. Range now applies to Ravenous. I usually just use stretch. You guys might try overextend it with it. Like it's your choice. But now range being able to scale with Ravenous is so good. You no longer are stuck to one place if you want to extra stacks from your augment. It's also an ability that increases your health regen, so that like it's even better. And now your health regen is going to cover a larger area, and you can cover like maybe half or like a good chunk of the map with Deimos terrain. Like I'm really happy about it. Now clear status when it heals. What I'm assuming, this is a cleanse. Like I don't know if this when you're on the Ravenous you're gonna be immune to status, or it's just gonna clear the initial statuses you were getting from the enemy. But either way, it's good. Increased health regen while standing on the Ravenous. It already had good health regen, so increasing it must be even better, considering Arcane Persistence also exists now, so good change. And finally, maggots. Improve maggots visibility and AI, and maggots and their pods now spawning faster. I honestly never noticed my maggots in the fort abilities, so like I would just assume, yeah, they exist. Improving their AI and improving their spawn rate should look pretty good. I never focused that much on the maggots to be honest. And these are all the nidus changes. Honestly, personally, I'm quite interested in how better Nidus is gonna become, because I gotta say, they basically fixed his stationary feeling. They basically fixed like how slow and dragging he could feel at times, and I'm quite happy about the changes. Like this just means he's gonna stack faster. He's gonna have better sustain if Arcane Persistence wasn't already doing that for him. He doesn't going to feel like a drag. His link is better. His stacking is better. His stacking um, limit is higher. His health regen is higher. Like I'm just thinking he's going to be a much fun Warframe after this update. And this update is coming in June. You guys are gonna have to wait a bit for this. But I hope you are as excited as I am for this change, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn that bell on if you like this video. And I see you, Tenno, in the next one.